So as you can hear from the church bells, it's morning now in Frankfurt. The sun rose in the last segment. So we're entering the sixth meditation cycle, bearing witness to the decolonization of consciousness. Bearing witness to, in other words, to our capacity to unlearn the old, to liberate ourselves. And we're going to start this cycle with an unorthodox source, with a reading by Bayo Akomolafe. Bayo is a Nigerian poet and author, and really proud member of the unschooling movement, particularly a movement that's particularly happening in countries that have a history of colonization, to rethink the ways that education has come to them. But as you'll hear from Bayo's talk this morning, as he reads from his book about these wilds beyond our fences, about a learning that he had from his daughter. This is unschooling is not simply it's for all of us. Unschooling, unlearning, and therefore liberation. Although it means something different when one, depending on the side of the historic equation that we've been on. But here he speaks as a parent, learning from his daughter. So if we could hear from Bayo Akomolafe.
My name is Bayo Akomolafe, and I am calling from Nigeria at this point, and I'm so pleased to be here with everyone and to be part of this global upheaval of consciousness and this opening to new possibilities. I've been invited to share a bit about the theme of bearing witness to decolonizing consciousness. And I will be reading from my new book, which is called These Wilds Beyond Our Fences, Letters to My Daughter on Humanity's Search for Home. I would introduce myself as a father because it's my most precious identity. And I speak today to you all from my heart, from the deepest place, from my deepest wounds, from my deepest visions of what is possible, as I share about an encounter with my daughter a couple of years ago. Thank you for listening. When you were 2 years old, you took me by my little finger and dragged me out of the house we were staying in while we were in Richmond, Virginia, with your aunt, Ifoma. You wanted to swim in the pool at the center of the residential estate. That morning, I had made a conscious decision to let you lead me anywhere you wanted to go. We waved goodbye to your mother and left the house, your determined gait pulling us in the direction of the watery goodness ahead. When we didn't make a right turn to the pool, I realized you had missed the way. But an implicit aspect of my promise was to follow your lead, even if that meant going in the wrong direction. So you continued to run ahead, in the direction of a nearby lake, while speaking animatedly about swimming in the pool. As we approached the lake, you stopped dead in your tracks. "Remove your shoes, Dada," you said. So I did. I liked to walk barefoot, so it was just as well. But I didn't expect what was to come next. "Where are my shoes, Dada?" you said, as if it were a natural thing for a 30-year-old man with size 45 feet to wear pink sandals that hardly protected his toes. But as you already know, I did. And then you slipped your little feet into my own flip-flops and reinitiated our journey. At this time, I could sense the first restless stirrings of the politics of adulthood as I struggled with feelings of embarrassment. Moments later, we were standing by the lake at its loamy edges, watching the ducks, the faint ripples occasioned by their gentle retreat. We simply stood there, both of us. You, by my right hand, just stared at the serene body of water. Small innocent seconds rolled into uncomfortable minutes. At some point, I wondered whether this might be a good time to chip in a fatherly lesson or two, or to connect with you in a deep way, anything to fill the disturbing void of silence that had enveloped us. I tried to talk, but you shut me down. "Dada, don't talk," you said, with the cavalier eminence of a 2-year-old. I had promised to let you lead, but I wasn't sure what the joggers nearby were now thinking of the queer, voiceless figures standing by the lake. Then I heard birds. Now, I'm not good at identifying them, but those distinctly avian sounds came wafting through, bending and melting with the wind, ruffling the green leafy protrusions above us, a murmuration of sound, creature, and surprise. It felt sudden, like the arrival of a triumphant gestalt, where there were merely bits and pieces of the puzzle. I noticed lichens crawling around a tree, the exuberance of the soil beneath our feet, the quacking of the ducks intent on making themselves heard. It was a soft aha moment. I noticed that everything is alive. I understood in that very tactile and embodied way that the material world wasn't just a backdrop for human activity, wasn't just static being or template awaiting the ordainment of meaning. You and I ended up playing after our unexpected libation of silence, decorating our faces and hands with mud, poking little twigs into the wet loamy soil, occasionally interrupted by the leitmotif of quacking around us. We walked back to our apartment like veterans of an exquisite order of things. Neighbors threw quizzical glances at us. I stammered out weak explanations like, "She likes dirt," or something else, to account for our very dirty appearance. Your mother was even less forgiving and ordered us to the bathroom But you see, the stains of your lesson in silence were the only things that didn't wash off that day and have lingered ever since. I am grateful to you for teaching me how to come to watery edges. Yes, you brought me here first. I am grateful to you for teaching me how to remain there for a while longer than is comfortable. For teaching me a tangential lesson about obstacles. And this is what I learned. That an obstacle is the richest, thickest, densest place in the universe. Now this is so because it is where things stop and often die, failing to continue on their way. It is where carcasses of hope rot into the ground, inadvertently fertilizing it. It is a place of desperation and longing and roaming ghosts. This is my way of saying that I think it is not empty. This place, an obstacle, is bursting with activity, with microbial adventures, with dancing generativity, with experiments into continuity and discontinuity, with playful meanings and alchemical shifts, with eloquent invocations and stuttered words. When you meet something fierce, too strong to overcome, too high to climb, too eminent to sidestep, too dark to enlighten, don't take it too personally. You have merely met an antibody whose sacred task is to challenge you, discombobulate you, disfigure you, and introduce you to the strange vastness of your family, a larger commonwealth of becoming. Just as soils chastise seeds and cocoons imprison caterpillars, obstacles are the universe's hubs of unspeakable creativity, redeeming us from tired victories, from the banality of crossing the finish line, from the soundtrack of getting everything we want, and especially from the hubris of thinking we are in control. So I would like to, in reading that passage, follow up with a few prompts and invitation, maybe just a single question. I met a Yoruba healer once, and it is part of the story that I tell in this book. And he shared with me that until you become lost, you will not find your way. I have listened to those words over and over again. And I also hear this word, this piece of wisdom from that saying, that what stands in your way is also part of the way. You know, the invitation to decolonize consciousness is the way we are realizing that we are not in control, that the world around us is not just some, as I said in the passage, some material backdrop for the eminence of being human. Especially in this age of the Anthropocene, we are learning that we are part of what the world is doing. And so I believe that the invitation is for us to learn how to be hospitable to the obstacles that stand in our way. I would like to bring your attention to the pain of loss, of death, these things that stand in the way of the modern human, these things that we have not been able to fully colonize yet. I ask you a question. How are you learning to give thanks to your obstacles? Thank you for listening.